Hey everybody, this is Dave coming at you, and as you can see, I got my spaceman suit on today. I have a bit of a bee emergency that I uncovered yesterday, and so I thought I'd try to bring you along here for the ride. We are in a small yard I have. Let me see if I can turn this around a little bit. That, as you can see, has 5 hives in it. It's not at my house, it's a little bit farther away. And I came down yesterday to check on them, and this first hive right here, this one, has been robbed by the other beehives. And what that is, if you're not familiar with beekeeping, is the other hives will literally just attack it and start taking the honey. And in addition to taking the honey, they will rip open any eggs or cells that the queen is trying to hatch and just destroy the hive. I mean, they treat it as an enemy. It's something that can happen anytime during the season. Generally, it does happen more in the fall when the bees realize the nectar's running out, resources are running low, and they just go crazy, for lack of a better phrase, lack of a better word. So they go to town. I'm gonna set the tripod up here, be a minute, and I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about when I pull these frames out of this hive. So let me get set up and let me get back to you, and we'll start try and save this hive. Thank you. Okay, welcome YouTubers, I'm back. For those of you who who are new to the channel, I'm Dave. And for those of you who are coming back, I'm still Dave. And I appreciate either one of you for being here. And I am talking today about beehives. For those of you who don't know, who may be new to the channel, I work a full-time job, and in addition to that, I try to maintain, or at least work towards, I'm certainly not maintaining a self-sufficient homestead, but I try to work towards that goal. And I have various skills and various things that I work on, be that food preservation or my new chickens or gardening. And we try to maintain as independent of a lifestyle as possible. To that end, I have bees, which I got 2 years. This is finishing my second year of beekeeping, and I guess this is probably, I've heard that 10-year beekeepers talk about making rookie mistakes, but this was definitely a rookie mistake. And I'm going to turn you around. I'm sorry if the video glitches, but I want to show you what it is we're going to be doing here today. Okay. So this is the hive in question. It's a first-year hive, and it's been doing very well. And the entrance down here for a hive is at the bottom. And as you can see, I've got a bunch of debris, little sticks piled up there, because I came down yesterday, to my chagrin, greatly to my chagrin. The other hives, which you can see, there's several other hives here, we're robbing this hive out. Now, every hive this time of year should get what's called an entrance reducer. And what happens is see how long that entrance is across? It's about 16 inches or so across. And bees can't always defend that. And what happens is other bees will come in and attack, and they'll steal the resources, the honey, the nectar, the pollen, as well as rip open other developing cells inside the hive, and they basically will kill the hive, destroy it. I forgot to put an entrance reducer on this one hive. So because this hive did not have an entrance reducer on it, unlike the other ones, for example, this one, ooh, look at that spider, yikes. That dude is big, look at that. Holy cow, where's he at? There's he at. Yikes. I don't want him getting, look, he already got one of my little bees. Yeah, we don't need that. You're going to need to go, dude. Sorry, back to the topic at hand. This is called a robbing screen. You actually fit it on the front of the hive, and it basically confuses bees that don't belong to the hive, and they can't figure out how to get into the hive. So what they end up doing is just hovering on the front of the hive rather than actually getting in to steal. And that's what I should have had on this one. Or there's another kind of entrance reducer I'll show you in a minute. In fact, here it is right here. This is simply a stick that slides down in that groove, and you can see then suddenly you only have a tiny little opening for the bees to get through. And what that does for the bees in the hive that are being robbed, it gives them a tiny little entrance to have to defend, rather than this whole great big section. I screwed up big time. And so what I did last night, because I wasn't close to home and I couldn't get back here with an entrance reducer, is I got some sticks out of the woods here. Fortunately, as you can see, there's plenty of woods. Got some sticks out of the woods and blocked them up there to create an entrance reducer so that the poor things could actually defend themselves. So I've got to get my gloves on here, and I'm gonna set you down, and I have to, sorry, I'm walking along here. What we're gonna actually end up doing, I didn't want to do this year. I left the hives lots of honey, but it looks like I'm gonna have to feed them. This is heavy cane syrup. It is roughly 2 parts sugar to 1 part water. What we're going to do is we're going to set up a box here, put that on top of that hive over there, and the bees will be able to feed inside the hive. And in addition to that, we're going to take from a couple of these hives, we're going to take some frames, and I'll show them to you, and we're going to stick them right into this one, and they're going to get back some of that honey and some of those resources that they lost to these other scallywags, these bandits. And that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to set you down for a second. I'll be back in a moment after I get the tripod set up, and we'll start getting busy. All right, we're back here, and I feel like I apologize for this in every video, but I'm not a videographer. I took off out of the house because I knew I had to get this done before dark, and actually left the new microphone that I bought laying on the table, so I don't even have a microphone. So hopefully the audio is going to come out good. And what we're going to do here, is this hive we're going to be checking on, and I already know that it's been really hit hard, and but it's still got a lot of bees in it. So you can see those are some bees that come right out of this hive. That's the outer cover. On the inside here are inner covers, and we'll deal with those in a few minutes. And then I'm going to show you basically what a beehive looks like. So I'm going to grab this every now and then and kind of come over here. So that's the top. These are individual frames. I'll show you each one of these lifts out. I'm working today without smoke. I'm trying to keep the bees from getting as antagonized as possible, just because I'm going to be moving them around. So we're going to try to move quickly here, but I do want to show you what I'm doing. So this top box still has honey. This is what gives me hope. The bees have to have enough honey to get through the winter, and right now it's touch and go. And if the queen had been not still here, the queen is still alive. She's down in the box. I probably would have just combined this hive with another. So this is a full hive of honey for anyone that's never seen one. It's got a few bees on it. This is what's called a medium frame. It's a box that's about half the size of some of these deeper ones that are the brood boxes. I mean, you can still make honey in those. You can make honey in whatever you want. Problem is that this stuff gets heavy quick. It gets real heavy. So this top box we have here, the one I just kind of poked you down into, is literally completely full of honey. And we're going to save that. We're going to leave that for them, excuse me, so that they can have this over the winter. My concern is deeper down in the box, though. Let me lift this one off. Oh. And they're already getting stirred up. You're going to be able to hear them. So we've got another box now, just like that one. It's a different color, but it's the same thing. It's another medium box. It's got plenty of honey in it, and it's got plenty of resources in it. Again, we're going to leave that, and I'm going to get down to show you where the problem is. I'm going to skip right over this box and not even bother, because as I said, I had it open the other day, and I already know what the issue is. So we've set that down. Now, we're at the bottom here. This is called the brood box. This box is much deeper frames, and I'll show you one in a second. And it should be full of eggs, and it should be full of honey. Guess what it's not full of? It's not full of eggs or honey. So let me grab a frame here, and I'm going to show you. And boy, these girls are already getting fired up. I know you honeys, you've been stolen from already, and you think I'm stealing from you. Okay, this is a frame that, I want you to be able to see it. See the honeycomb on it? It's all empty, and it's been, this frame would have had eggs in it, or possibly honey. Who knows? It's in the center of the box. That's usually where they build their nest, but not always. And it's usually where they lay their eggs, where the queen would lay her eggs. But she got ripped off. So what we've got here, what happens is when these bees steal, they just destroy the hive. Now, this one you can see all those different colors? That is actually pollen stored in the hive, and it did have a little bit of pollen in it, but again, there's absolutely zero honey. You saw that honey on the top? There should be honey in this part. Now here, see right here? Right here? That's a smattering of eggs. This whole thing should be covered with eggs. Those are eggs. They're eggs that probably the invading bees didn't kill for whatever reason, and I would say it's very unlikely they're going to hatch. The invading bees come along and they'll rip those eggs open, and that kills the larva inside, because that's just the way they are. I guess it's just nature. But anyway, this hive was clearly full of eggs, because they're going to put those eggs where a lot of that pollen is, and it's been just completely robbed clean. So, what am I going to do? Well, here's what I'm going to do. This hive right here is quite strong. And this hive, I'm sure, just like all these other hives, were part of the culprits who did the stealing. So we're going to open this hive, and we're going to take some of their resources back. Sorry for being off camera. I'm just opening this hive up. And what I'm going to do is show you exactly. I'm going to put everything right in front of the camera so you'll see it. So I've now got the second hive open. And because of the time of year, and like I said earlier, these bees have a tendency to start robbing in the fall. We have to kind of move quickly. Otherwise, we'll have an absolute fiasco here on our hands. And so what I'm looking for real quickly in this hive is to see if I can find I'm going to look to see if I can't find several frames that have eggs and honey on them, and we're going to swap them out with these empty frames that this other hive has lost. I'm grabbing a frame, and then I'm going to show you what a full frame of a deep frame of honey looks like. Okay, this one's about half full. We're going to go ahead and take it though, because it's better than anything they've got. So here's a deep frame. It's much larger, much bigger. It's got some open ready brood that the queen in this other nest will be able to lay right into. The other side is about the same. It's got some honey in it, got some resources at least to get them started. And then we're going to drop this right down in here. But what I really need, and I really want to see, is that I can't find a frame that has some eggs on it and give this queen a head start with some eggs. The eggs that would be laid by this queen in this box, if we put it into the box that's been robbed, those bees will actually take care of those eggs and watch over them. So I got a frame here, and you can see there's lots of bees on it, but there's not a lot of eggs. In fact, I don't see any eggs on this frame. So we're gonna skip to another one. Again, I gotta work quickly, otherwise these bees will all start robbing one another, especially with having more than one hive open at one time. And let's see about this next frame. Same thing. Next frame has got no bees on, got no eggs on it either, but they're steady packing it full of honey. But if you can see, where is that bee? There is a bee there somewhere, but she's running around with pollen. There she is, right in the middle of the screen. Look at that. They made it parted. The C parted for her. That bee just brought honey back into the hive, or honey, excuse me. That bee just brought nectar back into the hive. Her little leg pouches full of nectar, full of I keep saying nectar, full of pollen. And that pollen is protein for the bees, and they will feed it to their young or use it over the winter as a resource to eat. I swore this hive had some eggs in it, but it really, they don't have a lot. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and shake those off. We're going to give this hive another set of honey. Pretty good, decent sized amount of honey. And then we're going to pull another one of these empty frames. But these, there you go, see? They got robbed. And now we're going to swap those two frames out. So now they have almost 2 full frames of honey there that they can be using for resources. So these empty frames are going to get dropped right back into the other hive, the donating hive, and this hive will then be able to go to work on filling them up. So let's see what we have here. I'm going to go to another hive, see if I can't find some eggs so that I can give this queen a head start to get back on track for winter. It's late September here, and this is bad for this queen, for this hive. If the queen had been dead, like I said before, I probably would have just combined them, all the bees and all the frames, right into another hive. And I'm suspecting that an experienced beekeeper would tell me that's what I should be doing anyway. But I still got a soft spot for them. I just got that hive this year. Still got a valid queen in there. I really want to see her succeed because she's been a good queen all year, really producing a lot of eggs. So I'm now right behind you. I apologize. I have to keep working here, because while I would love to turn you around and get you back in frame and film everything, I really, really, really need to get this done, get these hives closed back up. But I'll show you this one. Look at this. Now this is a good frame of honey. Here we go. This late fall, this late summer honey, it's darker, it's richer, it's usually got more flavor, not nearly as thin or as neutral flavored. It's usually got a little more of a bite, and this is good stuff. So we're gonna certainly transfer that, and we're gonna give one hive that to the hive, but I gotta find an empty one to take out. So let's see here. There's an empty one. It's got some scattered eggs on it, but but I don't think they're going to amount to much. Like I said, this hive's just really been beat up. You can see there's some scattered eggs. I'm actually going to throw them in the other hive, but I'm looking for, I'll show you. When I see it, I'll know. When I see it, you're going to be the next to know, because it's going to be a frame that hopefully is just chock full of eggs. Okay, this is coming out of the other hive. This is, you can see it's covered in bees. But underneath that is a pretty good speckling. Those are all eggs. So those eggs were laid about 23 days ago. Or, well, they were laid probably, yeah, about 23 days ago, and then covered up a couple days after that. And they should be all hatching here within the next week or so. This will provide this hive with a much needed boost of population. Now, the one thing I have to check, and I doubt if she's on here just because I don't see any newly laid eggs here, but I gotta look anyway, because if you put two queens in the same hive, you know how it is when you put two queens together. They gonna fight, and they gonna fight to the death. So I don't see a queen here. I see some brood. Nope, we got plenty of eggs though. And like I said, with these eggs being capped, what they call capped and not open, that means they've been here for a bit, and they're going to be hatching fairly soon. So what we're going to do, we're going to take this frame and we are going to plug it right into this other hive. And you think, oh my God. But two things will happen. The bees that fly, when bees first come out, they don't fly. When bees first come out, they actually stay in the nest, and they will take care of the brood and that sort of thing. And after a period of time, they will then start flying, and they will start foraging. Let me show you this real quick too. So the bees that are on there that forage, they'll fly back to the other hive. The bees that aren't on there, that don't forage, the ones that help take care of the brood, the young ones, they will actually stay right in that hive and will become acclimated to the new hive. Here is another hive with a scattering of brood from the, or excuse me, another frame with a scattering of brood from the hive that got robbed. You see those two white ones? Those are ones that the bees ripped, or actually there's 3 or 4 white ones, aren't there? 4 or 5. Those are ones that got ripped open by the invading bees, and so they won't hatch out. They have to stay in there for the better part of 3 weeks. Obviously that's not going to happen because they were ripped open, and so they'll never hatch out. So those eggs are never going to amount to anything as far as being new bee population. The other thing that happens is when the bees lose their honey, and it is a last-ditch effort, but they have nothing to eat, and they will rip open eggs to try to eat and survive. That's what happens. So I got one more frame here. I think I'm going to transfer. I'm going to shake it off though, so you can really see these eggs. Now there's a lot of brood, and there's a spattering on this side. I don't know if you can see in those cells. I apologize, the sun's really getting low, but there may be some glistening in there. That's where they're bringing nectar back, and those will become honey cells. But you can see now that I've been talking about them, you can see which ones where the egg cells are there. This side has much more. It has a nice covering of eggs. They build, usually they'll do eggs in the middle of the frame like this. Let me pull it back, and then see right here and right here. They'll do almost like a rainbow arc of honey around the top, and that's sort of what they're working on there. They've got the honey on this corner and this corner, and then they, on a I guess an ideal or a beautiful frame, then that honey would run across the top as well, and that provides resources for the bees that are present to be constantly taking care of the eggs as they need them. So one more, there's one more with eggs. We're going to drop it in here. And I'm going to actually move these for a second because I want to put these eggs where they're facing towards honey as well, so the bees have plenty of resources right there to feed them as they need them. All right, I'm done. So that's everything I'm going to do. Now this is my my entrance reducer. So we're gonna take all those sticks out of there, and we're gonna slip this under that box, and that's gonna help us. It's not gonna help me, actually. It's gonna help the bees though, so that they can defend their kingdom, defend their castle better. All right, so we took the stick out. I've got to get this bottom box off, and it's glued on there. So what we're gonna do, in fact, I think what I'm going to do is just drop this on here for the moment. Okay, now this isn't exactly how we normally do this. I've put it right up against the front, but you can see the little entrance there they're already going in and out of. That will hold, because what will happen is the bees will come, and along these edges they will put a gummy stuff that we call propolis on there, and that will help hold that in place for the time being, and it'll keep them protected. Now, here's the top of the brood box. The queen's in there somewhere laying eggs. I'm not going to keep her open and get chilled, because the temperature is starting to drop here. Instead, I'm going to get these boxes back put together, and then I'll show you real quick how we actually feed the bees. Okay, I'm back. Did you miss me? Do you like the suit? This isn't anything that you see like on the runway, the fashion models, but you never know. Maybe it'll catch on. Maybe. Okay, so here's the hive we're working on. I don't like this head on this tripod. It doesn't allow me to rotate it like downward so that you can see better. So what I did was last night I threw together real quick an empty box. And this empty box is basically going to frame our jars that we had as feeders. It works out well. It's a good process. It's certainly not anything I invented. Someone far smarter than me long ago put this together. So this is called an inner cover. You can see with this hole here, the bees can climb up through, if need be, to wherever they want to go. So I'm going to put that on there. And then what's going to happen is, we got 2 mason jars here, 2 quart jars of this heavy syrup. Now you see the lids on them right now are these regular lids. But I'm going to swap those lids out. Apologize for the rust, they're a little beat up, but hopefully you can see those holes. When we swap those out, there you go, you can see those better. We're going to swap these jars out with these lids and the same rings. We're going to turn them upside down, and it'll create a vacuum, but the the sugar syrup will be right at those holes, and the bees will be able to access it, as well as to be able to basically just suck it right out of there without leaving the hive. Usually I use smaller pieces of wood, but like I said, I was in such a hurry. I wasn't doing my best thinking, I'm not gonna lie. But I did grab you guys to come along, and I hope you've either learned something or been enjoying something, or maybe seen something that you're not familiar with. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take on either side of that hole, and I'll show you in a second. We're gonna put these blocks of wood. Toss that one down there for the moment. Now you see what we got? Let me see here. I want to make sure you can see. Yep, so on either side of the hole, we've got these 2 blocks of wood. We're going to replace these lids, and we're going to turn these upside down, and then put that box over there around them. And I'm going to do that right now. So let's go ahead and replace these lids. If if there's anything you have questions wise, please leave it in the comments. I would love to get some comments. If you like what you're seeing, do me a huge favor and hit that like button, as well as subscribe. I'm trying to put out more regular content, but I also just don't want to put out the exact same thing that everybody else is doing, that you, not that that's anything wrong, but that you've seen probably 1,000,000 times or 1,000,001. And maybe you've seen this before. There's plenty of much more experienced beekeepers on YouTube than me. I can tell you right now, if you're very interested in beekeeping, you want to learn more about it, two guys that I watch all the time, and when I get a chance, I feel like anymore I don't seem to have as much time anymore to watch YouTube as I used to, now that I'm actually doing it. But Kamon Reynolds, K-A-M-O-N, in Tennessee. Just a wealth of information. Very no nonsense, very factual, and his videos are just great. So the other one is Bob Binney, B-I-N-N-I-E. I think, and Kamon is, if I didn't say it, I apologize, K-A-M-O-N, and then Reynolds. Bob is, I believe, in Georgia. I watch him all the time as well. Learned a ton from both of those guys just watching them on YouTube. So we turn this over, and you can see, boy, it just comes running out. But once that vacuum gets straight on the top, then it's good. So we got the bees. They're already found it. They already know it's there. And what does this do? Well, this internal, it's called internal feeding, or it's going to be called that in a second when I get straight here. It not only will protect the bees from the standpoint that they don't have to go out and deal with the world, but it also, by having this right here, I mean just literally right here inside the hive, suddenly they're not making all these foraging trips back and forth. Ooh, it is fancy, isn't it? I mean, look at that. That is sweet. No, so they don't have to make all these foraging trips back and forth from flowers. They're going to be able to grab this syrup and put it right into the nest. And instead of having to spend 30 minutes out somewhere foraging, they're going to be making many more trips. I expect these two, this is a ½ gallon of syrup. Today is, this is Tuesday night, probably about 5:30, 6 o'clock. I would say certainly by Saturday, this will be empty. The other thing is we have several days of storms coming up. Storms, rain, cloudy weather, cool weather, that all affects a bee's ability to forage, but not when they're in here. When they're in here, they can keep going, and they'll hopefully be able to build these resources right back up. If not, I don't know what I'm going to do. There's still a really good queen in there, and I really don't want to combine this hive with another one, because then that means I'm going to lose her. So I'm going to keep feeding them. We're here in Maryland, and I'm in zone on the eastern part of Maryland, which is more temperate than the western part, which is mountains. We're not really any mountains here. For us, a mountain is like the little hill in front of, as you drive into the drive-through at the Piggly Wiggly or whatever. But with it being temperate, we're not looking at really cold temps during the day until probably mid-November. We're all sealed up. So we have done everything we can. The bees are angry, understandably so. They're gonna probably be a day getting mixed and matched and getting the other bees from that one hive that are gonna leave out of there, but they'll go back to where they were. And the bees that are here are gonna get a whole load of new brood, which they desperately need, as well as a ½ gallon of syrup. We'll get this on them. I do have, as you can see, 2 more hive I took out of this hive, and then I took out of that green hive. So I didn't take anything out of the purple and white, and I didn't take anything out of the all green over here. So we can very, very possibly come back and raid those a little bit. I raid these hives because basically they took it from my hive here that's struggling, and so they're going to give it back one way or another. They're going to give it back because I really want all these. I'm at a good number of hives. I have 2 at my house. I have these 5 here. Considering everything else that I'm doing, 7 hives is plenty. If I were to be retired or homesteading full-time and able to do the homesteading 40 hours a week, I'd like to get up to about 12 or 15 hives. It's just not possible with time constraints though. So this is what I have, and this is what I want to keep. And I want to hopefully go into the winter with this so that these hives, a lot of these hives here are first-year hives. Next year they will come out like gangbusters and really put on some honey for me. So I hope you appreciate. No, I don't hope you don't. Well, I mean, I hope you appreciate what we're doing here, I guess. And I'm trying to share things with you as they come up, as they come necessary, and maybe things that hopefully not everybody's seen before. If you like what you see, as I said before, please subscribe. Please hit the like button. That's going to help us immensely and get the channel out there, as well as to have other people finding and seeing things that hopefully you enjoyed finding and seeing. And as always, we're going to sign off as, be safe, stay prepared. I appreciate you so much for being here, and I certainly appreciate you for spending this time with me. Thank you very much, and have a good night.